FAIR ensembles. In this work, what we kind of looked at is how does design choices and ensemble size kind of affect fairness outcomes. So we've seen ensembles be a very popular technique to kind of improve top-line metrics, but there hasn't been a lot of research to see how these affect subgroup performances when there's a minority subgroup or there is just underrepresented samples. So our paper kind of takes a holistic view on what happens when you choose ensembles based on different sources of stochasticity, and kind of even look at how the size of the ensemble affects all those things.
Our ensembling method is really simple. We didn't change the architecture, so every single model is the same in the ensemble. We didn't change the data augmentation. We didn't really change the hyperparameters really either. So it's just like almost everything is the same. The only difference is the source of stochasticity. And so by that, what we mean is that, so let's say when you train each mini batch, what if you make it so that for each ensembles and mini batch that it groups, is always different for each of the models, or for model initialization. So that, the starting weights, maybe it's all, that's usually we use 20 for models. So let's make it all 20 all different, so we investigate that. And what we found there is also really interesting because the different ways of controlling for stochasticity, some of them favor the majority groups and the top K classes, whereas others favor the minority groups and the bottom K classes, which means that you can potentially, and this is the hard part to really sort of find out, but you can make a model to be really to minimize the sort of disparate impact, on the bottom K classes. So it really the difference between top and bottom, you really minimize it, or you can make it very, very far away, so just you can make it worse, I guess. But so it's
The key idea came from Randall, who's our one of our guides actually. So I think this is how it went. So I think he reached out to Sarah about this project, and he saw that changing the batch order actually is the major source of stochasticity when you're training these models. And he was like, if we can kind of take advantage of that, because in an ensemble, having diverse models actually boosts performance. So that's a question that he took to her. I think that's how the idea started. There were plenty of moments where we were irritated why things didn't work, but that was mostly on us. So, yeah. One of the key findings of the paper is that ensembling just by itself is a very good promoter of fairness. But I think based on feedback from Sarah, we kind of made a decision to go a level deeper and look at what specific design choice actually leads to better stochasticity in the ensemble members. I think that was a very interesting line of questioning, and that kind of took a lot of work to separate those sources of stochasticity. So I think that approach was also very interesting because it forces kind of separate these sources of randomness. When we know the eventual result was that it works, but then what exactly kind of helped it work, that itself was another whole aspect in the paper.
Yeah, so Cohere For AI is interesting because for me, I am, already working in industry. I have always been interested in doing research in this area. I just when I was in school, I had to go find a job quickly, so I didn't have enough time to do research. What happened was that in the begin, I joined pretty early on. In the beginning, like Sarah, I think she still do, but she posts a lot of sort of search for like collaborators, and then like this is one of the projects she posted, and I responded, and I think that that's how so that most of the people were brought together by this call, and then I think that was sort of what kickstarted how this project worked to begin with. Yeah, so I think it was a very, I just say it was very interesting that a lot of these communities so Spawn Brown allow these I guess these platforms as well, right? So it's just and Discord obviously it's its own silo platform, so it's just a lot. I just wow, okay, I didn't realize how much I've been, I guess, missing out by not being more involved in all of these type of community efforts.
The C4AI community, just in general, is such a field of possibilities. I mean, the kind of ideas that are put out there and the kind of projects you can just be a part of without having to give like a test or a interview. I mean, you can just get on something and then learn as you go. I think that itself is just phenomenal. For this project, I'd never worked with Randall, Wei-Yin, and Karina before, and all three of them kind of brought such interesting viewpoints and skills that I learned a lot about different things, and Sarah's always been there. So yeah, this project was very, very interesting, and it happened to be my first one with C4AI, right? So it was a very nice learning experience, and I highly recommend it for anyone.
Because a lot of the interesting details are in the method itself, not what the applications specifically are, So I think what's interesting is that for me at least, it's I thought when none of the timeline metrics are moving the way it's this source goes this way, that source goes that way, didn't really match up as I thought it would. I was really oh man, did this just not work out? I was really surprised. Again, by what I guess experienced researchers like Randall was able to sort of find from the data. So honestly, that I thought was wow, never even thought about it this way before. Yeah, I think the setback is that our original idea didn't really work out. So I would say that I think I guess maybe for more experienced researchers, this is probably not that easy. It's probably not as big of a deal, or at least it's it's kind of sometimes it happens, But at least for me, because it's really for the first time I'm doing this, it's a lot more just man, just I tried the first time and it just didn't work out. It just failed. That was going on in my mind. So but yeah, clearly that wasn't the case. So yeah, so I would say that I think having a team there and having people who can guide you through again, I really want to stress that how important it is to have this mentorship because honestly, I feel a lot of what is goes on with the paper to do the both Randall and Sarah. We found some patterns, how in at least the Cyber 10 data set, the minority group was really benefits from batch order as the source of stochasticity, and then not by batch order, but it really benefited from that sort of for the data augmentation probabilities, as a source of stochasticity. Whereas the majority group really benefit from model init and batch ordering, the combination there. So can we apply this to a lot more other data sets? Is it still the same sources? It's like, because if we can find a Zululand here as well, that would also be really interesting, because that would mean that you can really finely control the ensemble to really minimize disparate impact or maximize it. So being that would also be an interesting research direction.
Had a researcher kind of reach out to us right when the preprint came out, and he wanted to kind of extend this work past ensembling to mixture of experts. So that's taking our experimental setup and seeing if we can actually push it further if we use mixture of experts as opposed to symbol ensembling.